Yeah.
Tahiti doesn't want you to be late either.
No, of course she doesn't. Hello, 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 Facebook Live. Let me click record. Hello, 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 Unicorn Tribe. That's going to be a new name from now on, unicorns. So today I have Bethany Briggs for our Heal the Unicorn Wednesday podcast. I was planning to prepare an introduction and do all that stuff, but because here's the thing. I want to do it properly. I want to do it nicely. I want to have the intro. I want to have all these things, but we all want something like that in one areas of our life. And I guess that's why it just came out of my mouth. And I'm like, why did you say this? Nobody needs to know, Yana. Oh my God, right? Here's the reason why I guess it came out is because I know I'm not the only one who wants to figure it out and be perfect and have, the intro, the outro, and everything we're going to be talking about and have it very nicely, poshly done. And I'm all about massive imperfect action because the preparation for me causes hesitation. Preparation equals hesitation. And when I hesitate, I'm less likely to go and do it. I've always been, don't think about it, just go and do it. And I don't know how I survived through my childhood. I'm still like surprised just thinking back the things that I've done growing up that I wouldn't wish on any parents to have a child do. And I survived these things. And it was always do it, think about it later, right? Say it and then think about it later. So I said it and then I'm thinking about it and helping, I guess, everyone hopefully to have that same kind of approach. Not for everything, of course, right? Jumping into the fire is not something that untrained professionals should be doing. But yeah, I'm like, I think that's why it just came out of my mouth. So for today's topic, though, we're going to be talking about the sacred art of paying attention to your internal world. And the internal world is where we all live. We don't really realize that we are living in our own world internally, and that the external world is really just helping us to understand our internal world more. We just have not been told that this is what's happening, right? And one there's this can't remember this guy's name, but this guy I started listening to on YouTube, he was talking about how the way that we experience interactions sometimes is that we almost feel like we're having a conversation, right? So I'll use an example of the beginning of this video. Something came out of my mouth and I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that, right? And it was one of those things that it was a thought that was behind me and it just really just sneaked in there and came out. And then afterwards, I'm observing myself with this thought, why did I just say that? And this thought feels like it's behind me. It's literally behind my head. As I'm observing myself and observing, my face, I'm like, why did I say that, right? It's going to be so stupid. Nobody needs to know that you're trying to do this intro and all that kind of stuff. But that's how we kind of are. We are a passenger in our bodies, and we have not been given the manual, the instructions of how to operate this magnificence, right? And I want everyone to refer to themselves and to their body as the magnificent masterpiece, even if you don't feel comfortable in it, because not very many people actually do feel comfortable in their meat suit. Like, I personally look in the mirror and I don't always see myself. And what I mean by that is I see this suit that I'm wearing and it does not look like anything that I know it's meant to be in my mind. right? So my blueprint is not matching to what I see in the mirror. So there's that conflict. But in saying that, now we're talking about the internal world,
Yeah.
right? That's what's coming up for me. My internal world, my internal view of myself is not what I'm seeing externally, because the mirror is external, right? My body is external. What I see in the mirror is the external world. And if we don't like the external world, we can change it, right? There's plastic surgery, there's haircuts, there's tattoos you can get, there's exercise you can do. There's a lot of things that we can change about our external appearance. And a lot of people are doing that. But the point of this video today is that changing the external is not always going to be changing the internal. It's actually very rare for the internal world to be changed from the external world, because it's all about the programming.
Right.
Right? So Bethany, I know. So by the way, Bethany was the one that came up with the topic. Just wanted to put that out there. Great job. Thank you. It was hashtag awareness. So since you came up with a topic, I want to hear where all that came from for you, and then just start educating everyone.
Okay. Well, I love how you opened it up with a real life, like in the current state, like awareness moment that you had with yourself, to explain it in a different way, what awareness is. So amazing. Thank you for doing that. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It wasn't planned, by the way. Like, there was absolutely
Right.
no plan. It just, like I said, it just came out. I'm like,
yeah. Well, it was
to someone.
It was you being transparent, and it was showing everyone that example of what awareness is. You know, you saying that thought and being like, oh gosh, like, what did I say? Let me assess it, and then working through it. So awareness. Awareness is actually one of my values that I follow, and that's where I got it from, because I chose four different words. I like to call them frequencies or vibrations, that I have in my values. And so yesterday, last week we did intuition, and this week it's all about awareness, because intuition and awareness are very related. You know, what we talked about intuition, about paying attention to your heart, following your heart, being your true authentic self, and honoring your truths. That paying attention aspect is awareness right there. So here I'm correlating what intuition, awareness, how they go together. Because you have your intuition, and now you want to follow your intuition with your inward awareness. And so that's where it kind of came from. And also, I'm in the middle of taking this lovely course on Ayurveda, and it's all about awareness, which it was a synchronicity, right paths. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this week is all about awareness, and I'm taking this course on it. So that's kind of the information, like where I got it from. What does awareness mean? Like, what is, like, to me, this is what it means to me. So it means going deep, going in within. It's a gift, just like intuition. It's a gift that we're naturally born with. It's your inward, but also your outward perception. But we're mainly focusing on the inward perception today, because the outward, you can't control as much as you can control yourself and your inward being. It's checking in with your feelings. It's recognizing what you're feeling, and then start becoming if you're not happy with what you brought up in your awareness, to shift it to a healthy choice, or something that does make you proud of it, does make you expand. So it's always good to have that awareness, because that's where you start changing. That's where you start changing your habits, your patterns that you're doing. It's identifying patterns. Also, that's another definition that it means to me. It's a gift, like I already said. And what's interesting about awareness is it's the path of consciousness And intuition is the path of the subconscious. So you're bridging those together now with intuition and awareness. And that's also why I did intuition and then awareness, because they're so closely correlated. And it helps, talking about awareness can help you expand your intuition. But anyways, that was last week. This week's awareness. So I wanted to talk about some awareness that I have, that came to my perception when I was taking this course, this Ayurveda course. So for me, so Ayurveda is all about getting in touch with your feelings, having your awareness to your current state, the present moment, what you're going through right now in this present time. So me doing this course has helped me correlate my feelings with my eating, because that's something that I always left out. I'm like, oh, I can follow this certain eating plan, or I can eat these things and I'll be fine as long as, I'm not overdoing it. But this pattern that I found that came to my awareness, I was very muchly overdoing it. So this is the pattern. I would eat sweets. I would eat gluten-filled foods. I would binge sometimes. And then my body would get into a pain and discomfort. I would get that sugar rush. And then I would go to my plant medicine. I'd go to cannabis to mask it, to help me through it. But then with that mask, I wanted to eat more because I got the munchies. And then it was just a continuing cycle. Okay, I'm in pain and discomfort from all this food I'm eating, because it was late night eating as well. And it just was that cycle of just me hurting myself and masking and, and it was never ending. And I didn't realize that I had that pattern until I took this course. I realized it was there, but I didn't have that full awareness, like that aha moment, like, oh my gosh, like I see it now. It's right here. It's right in front of me. So the minute I opened my awareness, I was able to set up a new pattern that I want to do, that I want to practice, that I want to live. And it's a healthy choice. So I decided with my awareness to change and to go to where eating is for health, it's for fuel, it's for energy, and it's for nutrition. And how does that make me feel? Well, it makes me feel vibrant. It makes me feel balanced. It makes me feel full of vitality, and I feel more optimistic and clear-minded and more focused, and there's more peace and there's more joy and bliss and all these feelings that I would want to have on a regular basis. It's helping establish that. So that being an example, like that's another real life example of how I chose to put my awareness and move it to what it's going to help me grow and expand. Another example was right before, because I do my yoga videos before our podcast. And before that, my whole family was home and it was loud. And I was just like getting so frustrated. Like I have my videos coming up, like everyone knows it's Wednesday. And I started to act in a way that I wasn't proud of. And then, so I took a moment, I paused, I breathed, reflect. I asked myself these questions. What is my current state right now? Where am I at right now? And what do I need at this moment? And so I was able to bring some awareness into how I was feeling, which usually I'm really good at rewiring and doing that. But sometimes when anger hits, it's harder for me to see the logical, like that thing right in front of me. I just think of all like, oh my gosh, like overwhelm and frustration. So I decided to come to the tattoo shop to do my yoga and our podcast today. And it was such a great awareness experience too, because I could have sat in that frustration. I could have stayed at home and in the back of my mind being like, oh my gosh, it's being so loud. Like, oh, like I wonder what noise is being picked up. But instead I chose to go with the shift, a choice that helps me be more focused, aligning with kind of like with my eating, how I want to feel, same thing with when I'm doing the podcast, how I want to feel. So there was another thing of awareness that just happened right before, we got together today. And I am so excited to go deep and to really find my awareness with everything. For people that are dealing with the same pattern that I am, that I'm healing through, that I did, and that I shifted, I found these questions for like self-assessment that really spoke to me. So it was asking myself, with this decision, with whatever it is, the food, this action that I want to do, whatever it is, will this help me feel cared for? Will this help support me? Will this help nourish me? And is this healthy? And those self-assessment questions really hit, I feel like, all your chakras as well. It brings awareness to the whole body, because you're like, okay, well, what do I need right now? What is it? You know, where am I at? It's getting to that. And it's also helping you be in the present moment and be here right now, instead of so like far in the future or so far in the past. You know, you can enjoy your journey right now, and you can use your awareness to enjoy that journey of life and just be, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all I have so far. But I really wanted to share some examples, and just to give everyone a more clear view of what awareness is, because it's such an amazing gift that we underplay, and that a lot of people will like put down and will not like deal with. And they're just like, oh, well, this is happening to me, so this is how I'm going to react. Well, how about we respond and then go to a healthy choice? The old pattern with eating was a reach and soothe pattern that I was going through. And now it's the responding and loving myself. And also going back to that pattern, if it's a pattern that you're dealing with as well, this also helped me with asking myself, what do I need right now? Asking myself, am I tired? Am I bored? Could I be more productive right now? How's my water intake? How's my salt intake? Because when your salt intake is low, you'll want to binge more, because you're not getting that necessary mineral in your body. I also ask myself, is there an emotion or feeling coming up? Am I feeling triggered or traumatized at all? And me asking these questions, I'm able to bring more awareness as well into my system, into what I'm doing in that present moment. And then I'm able to change it to how I want it to be, to help me grow and expand and learn from it as well. Because, there's sometimes I will fall, like I'll go on this pattern, this new cycle, and I'll have a moment where I go back to the old one. But it helps me be more grateful for the new cycle and the new pattern, because I'm like, oh, but remember, you're feeling so like vitalized and just energized and optimistic and focused, and you're waking up and just ready for your day, just be like, all right, let's get this, and that's what I strive for. And that's what I'm getting from this new pattern. So it's also like, when you fall short of what your goal is, never be hard on yourself as well, because you can always get right back on it the next day. That moment you see that you're getting off the train track, you can direct yourself right back on that train track, because the power is within.
Yeah. It is a choice too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we gotta actually choose it sometimes. Just like you were talking about, finding yourself in the old patterns where you're reminding yourself, but remember how great it was, how great I felt waking up early and doing all these things. Why would you sabotage that? And and that could be the choice that puts you closer to that better version of yourself that you want, or the old version of yourself. And whichever choice you choose, it's going to be hard. It's just one of them is going to be hard for longer, and then the other one will be hard for, the hardest will go away. And then the hard part will be replaced by something else. And what I feel like what you're talking about awareness is that there's like different levels of awareness. And this is how I guess I would describe it, is the going back to the old patterns and catching yourself and being aware of the going back to the old pattern, being aware that this is the old pattern and this is what I'm doing, and then being aware that there's a new one and I tested it and I liked it. And here's the thing. Most people do choose to go back to the older pattern, because it's more comfortable, it's convenient, and it's easier, right? And then when you were talking about when you eat something, or you go back to the old patterns, being aware of why you're doing it.
Mhm.
And you mentioned feeling triggered. Um, I think you also mentioned boredoms, because I was writing a list, and some of the things I was writing in the list you were mentioning, I'm like, great, great, great. So when we feel like, when it comes to food, I'm the same way, right? And this is one of the things that I have been working through for a while now, and it's much better. But once in the blue moon, I'll still find myself. Some evenings I'll find myself there, and sometimes I find myself back in the old habit when I feel really, really good. I feel really proud, and I had a really great day. At the end of the day, I treat it as it's going to be my reward. And here's the thing, that, this is going to be my reward. That is the subconscious programming speaking, the old patterns. Whereas the new pattern, the conscious mind, if I question it, is this really a reward? No, it is not. It's a punishment, because this is what you end up doing. This is the cycle. You feel great, you feel on top of the world. I don't deserve it. Even though in that moment, that's not what happens. But in the morning, then afterwards, I'm like, oh, see, told you were gonna fuck it up again. Told you you're gonna go back to that. I told you it wasn't gonna work this time. And we all do this to ourselves.
Yeah.
Each
Oh
one
yeah.
of us do this to ourselves. And it's not okay. But in order for us to change that, you need to become aware of the fact that it's not okay. And then, okay, well, if it's not okay, then what can I do instead? Check yourself. Why are you eating? Right? Why are you allowing these negative thoughts to go through your mind? Is it boredom? Are you self-soothing? Is it for comfort? Is it a distraction? Is it because you feel too good and subconsciously you don't believe you deserve it, because that's the program that you are not aware of yet, right?
Right.
Are you feeling lonely? Are you feeling sad? Are you malnourished? This is another thing that a lot of people don't realize. Oh, I eat a lot of food. But what kind of food are you eating? Does it have any nutrients and vitamins? Not most, I don't want to use that word. A lot of the people in North America are actually malnourished. And even though they are overweight, that does not mean that they're nourished. That often actually means that they're malnourished. They're just eating foods that are not good and that fill them up, but don't actually feed the body, right? So that's why the questions that Bethany was talking about, you're asking yourself about this food that you're about to eat. At the end of the day, is it going to benefit you or is it not? Is it going to bring you closer to your future self or not? Also asking yourself, maybe you're feeling triggered and that's why you're eating, or maybe it's your escape
Yeah.
to eat, right? And like I said, there are different levels of awareness. So becoming aware. So I know Bethany and we've gone through these few stages of awareness with this evening binge eating,
Mhm.
right? Where we become aware of it and learn something new and implement it and go with it, and then find ourselves back in the old habits, and which bring new awarenesses and the reminders of the old awarenesses. So it becomes a new level of awareness, to a point where we all get to this point where enough is enough,
Yeah.
and you've gotten everything that you need to from all of these experiences. Going back and forth, eating and not eating in the evenings, being good and being bad, so to speak, because that's what the mind tells us. Oh, you were a bad girl yesterday. You ate too much, right? So you're bad, bad, bad. And I like how you were talking about the intuition and awareness, because to me, awareness also means conscious, a conscious choice, being conscious of whatever is happening. And intuition is the subconscious. So in the beginning of this video, my intuition vomited some things out and said it, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I'm aware of it. Now I'm conscious of my intuition because it just comes through. And what can I do with it? Right? Because it came through for a reason. So what is this reason? You became aware of something for a reason. What is this reason? And it often has everything to do with who you're trying to become, and in comparison to who you currently are, and how it is not matching up to who you're trying to become. How it often goes like the opposite side. That this is you now, and this is who you want to be, and you're standing back to back, and you got to stand kind of side by side, and then look at each other and become really aware. So there's a lot of that. And then awareness of our bodies, because we're talking about the internal world. And our body speaks to us all the time, but we are very quick to shut it up. Feeling anxious. No, I don't want to deal with it. No, I'm going to put it aside. Instead of sitting with it, or standing with it, or walking with it, whatever you feel like doing. Because when I'm anxious, I don't always want to sit down. It almost feels like if I sit, it's just going to make me more anxious. So I need to walk, and I need to get out. I need to get a different perspective. So living on the hill is very helpful. So I can go look out the window, and I literally get a different perspective looking down. But our body always talks to us. So I'll give you an example of how my body talks to me sometimes. And this is the example. So today in the morning, I woke up feeling extremely like anxious, like very panicky. And the brain is incredible. And it's so good at trying to help you to feel better by telling you why you're feeling that way. And the whys are never nice. So it's always the fears and the stuff that actually causes you anxiety. And because I've gotten really, really good at checking myself, the moment that those thoughts, like I hear my thoughts are not always behind me. They're more like inside my head. So I'm a little bit more aware of them, but there are still a lot that are behind me where I'm not aware of them, and I need to feel them and sit with them. So long story short, I woke up because this was already 5 o'clock in the morning. I could not sleep anymore because I was just feeling anxious. And I'm like, oh my God. And the mind starts going. And as I'm laying there, I'm like, okay, what's happening is my breath is out of whack. My body's telling me breathe, because anxiety can be dealt with through breath. So if I'm feeling anxious, then my breath is off. So fix your breath, Yana. So I started breathing calmly, deep breaths. And then in these deep breaths, because I silence my mind, deep breath, and just really focus on the breath, which allows my intuition to come through. And my intuition allows me to listen to my body as well, and tune into my body. And it tells me, you just worked out 2 days ago on your upper body, which is chest, arms, neck, and head, where I feel the anxiety. So what I'm feeling is not anxiety. It's my body that's really sore and hungry. So why don't you go fix that and stretch your body? So if we just pause and listen to our bodies, to our internal world of what's going on, it could be a thought, right? Yeah. It could be something on a to-do list. It could be something that, an old pattern. For me, it was my old patterns, my old thoughts that were coming up, and that caused me panic. And I'm like, no. That's not me anymore. And I'm not doing that. This is me. This is how the new me deals with it. She allows the awareness in and listens to it and doesn't judge it. Sometimes it's hard to do, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's one important aspect. Don't judge your awareness, just observe. Yes, I'm glad you said that.
And you were talking about anger, how you were feeling really angry, and one reminder came to mind is that our emotions, especially anger, we can only be angry, I think, for 2 minutes maximum. after 2 minutes, you're just replaying, and you're just focusing too much and trying to keep yourself staying angry.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I learned that, and I thought, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty good. And our emotions are kind of like that way as well. And the example that I would use is, let's say you with your partner, you are really like what you were going through, and really, really, like, let's say, angry, and then your work calls you, right? And it's something really important. It causes you to snap out of it, and whatever you were just angry about, you're no longer angry about. So why is it that you're able to snap out of it when, somebody else comes in and distracts you, when you're more than capable of doing that on your own?
Right. Because that's like what I did. I reminded myself, PBR, pause, breathe, reflect, like figure out a different option, because you have other options. Yeah. Like, and you saying that about like the 2 minutes, it's like I was thinking back to it, and it's like, yeah, it wasn't even a minute that I had those negative feelings going on. It maybe 30 seconds, because I got into that awareness right away, and it was like, okay, well, this is going on a pattern that I don't like, and it's not going to help me expand and grow. So let's find the new pattern. Okay, we'll change it up. Try something new. It's okay. Add that flow, that lightness. And that's why I decided, well, I'm going to go where it's silent. And I came to the tattoo shop because my husband's not working today. And it allowed me more freedom. And I feel like it helped, the word I'm looking for, it complemented the new pattern. It was like, okay, well, here is some of the results that you're getting from that new pattern. And it helps me be more motivated and energized to stick with it. Because like with our awareness, we may try something, be like, well, let's try this. You don't like the way it feels, so try something else. Like your awareness is just like more of a tool or a guide, just like how the intuition is. It's just to tell you, hey, something's off. Let's get it in. Let's focus, and like, let's bring it into check. And I'm glad you brought breath work up, because that is one of like the most important places to start, because you can do that anywhere. You can do that standing up. And that's what I did in that instance of like earlier, when I was getting angry and frustrated. I took a bunch of deep breaths. I also had a little help from Mary Jane, but it helped the situation. But I assessed, okay, what's going to help me? And it did. And I'm proud of myself for that pattern change. But I'm saying this so everyone that's watching knows that it's possible, that you can go to that old pattern and then change it right in that moment and still be happy and joyful with the output you're getting from the input, because the input was the anger, but now you like pause, breathe, and reflected, and your output was just excitement, more motivation, like, ooh, like I get to go to the shop today. I get out of the house. And I didn't realize that that's how I'd feel afterwards. Like thought I'd be overwhelmed over here, but trying it out, it's like, whoa, this opened up there are more opportunities and options. So that's another thing with awareness that you can find and receive.
Yeah, and I got to see your shop as well, so
Yeah, right.
that's a bonus on top of it, because I was planning on coming last year, but things weren't open.
Yeah.
So that didn't work out. But this year, right now,
Yeah.
we're having our masks lifted, the mandates, or whatever they want to call it, lifted on the 21st. And I'm still kind of struggling to understand, why is it that if you decided to end something, that why we have to wait? Why it can't just be done and over with?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but they must have some sort of, their awareness to it must, I don't know.
And that's another awareness, is like, why?
Right. Yeah. And it's like awareness, like my awareness is going to be different than your awareness and that next person's awareness. So also our awareness is very unique to who we are and how we're feeling right now in the present moment. So what I do might not work for you, and what you do might not work for me, but it
Mhm.
helps ourselves grow and be that
Yeah.
best for ourselves.
But one thing I can guarantee will work for everyone, and that is breath work.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
period. Because that's one thing that you were gifted at birth.
Mhm.
You know, it starts your life and it ends your life.
Right.
So why don't we master it? Why do we, like, that's another part of the program that we can talk about another time, but that's a program that should have been taught to us, to master our breath, to master ourselves. That is what we, each and every one of us, is meant to do on this planet, to master ourselves and to know who we are and what our purpose is and live in our purpose. But we're not being taught these programs. These are the programs that we got to go and learn elsewhere. When I talk about a program is just, think of the Matrix, right? That's the best way how I can describe what I mean by a program, is the way that you are living, the way that you're thinking, the way you're showing up, the things that you believe, the things that you don't believe in, everything who you are a program. Each and every one of us is a program. So the program of breath is supposed to be part of my program because I was born with it, but I was not given a manual on how to use that to my benefit. So I had to learn that. And the digestive system, that's another thing, right? There's so much.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a woman or a man or human being who decides to take control of their health and eating well and just going online trying to find the right information, because there's so much information, there's so many doctors, so many experts, so many professionals, and this person will tell you running is great for you, and this person will tell you you're going to die if you run. This person tells you this is how much water you're supposed to drink, and this person tells you don't drink too much water. Intermittent fasting is great. Intermittent fasting is going to kill you. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so much. But it really comes down to we we all species in the planet have a diet. But the only species on this planet that continue to change their diet are humans. So, having said that, each and every one of us has a diet that we're meant to eat. And it really means going back to your roots. Where did you live? How did you live? What did you eat? How did you eat?
Yep.
And living that way, because that's what the body is used to. That's the program, I guess, that's already in the body. But moving countries kind of changes things for a lot of people. For
Right.
me, definitely did. Um, but what I'm saying is, you got to figure out what works for you, and most things will be similar across the board for every human being. Like things like caffeine, it's going to give you a little bit of a rush, or perhaps it might cause you to feel a little bit of a panic, like me when I drink too much coffee or strong coffee, or I have a sip of black coffee, I'm like
Yeah.
right. But like I get really anxious, so that's why I very rarely drink coffee, and it needs to have a lot of milk in there, so it's more like cappuccino, not coffee.
Yeah.
And yeah, where was I lost my train of thought. It's just one choo choo because we were
Yeah.
talking.
Well, you're saying stuff about like how like, well, because some people can handle caffeine really well, and
Oh,
they're like, it doesn't phase
the
them.
diet, that's what we're talking about. Yeah,
Diet.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Look, I'm glad you said that some people, they can handle caffeine very well, and some people, like, that's their life elixir. They cannot survive a day without caffeine. So that that's part of their program. Whereas for me, it doesn't work for me. And so I'm not going to have that. Sugar across the board for everyone, just like breath. Breath is good for you, sugar is not good for you.
Exactly.
It's just a simple fact. Salt is good, but too much of a good thing, period, is not
Yeah.
good. I mean, if you're sitting there and all you're doing every day for the rest of your life is just you're focusing on your breath, it's a good thing, but too much of a good thing is not going to be good, because what kind of a life are you really living? Right? If you just sitting and focusing on your breath and just mastering your breath, right? So at the end of the day, becoming aware of ourselves and our internal world, and what that internal world is telling you, and perhaps even demanding of you. Like my body was demanding this morning, you need to stretch me, you need to feed me. Otherwise, this panic attack ain't going nowhere, even though it's not a panic attack, even though it's just a lot of tension in the body. And I also had a lot of coffee yesterday. Um, which, like I said, I don't drink coffee. So the black coffee reference was from yesterday, because I had a few sips and I was like, okay. And my
Right.
mouth was moving way too fast for my words to even come through clearly.
Right. And also, when you say that about the caffeine, you could have been feeling a little bit of withdrawal from caffeine this morning too, because when you have like a strong
Yeah.
caffeine and you're not used to it, like I'll get a headache sometimes in the morning if I have a lot of caffeine, because I don't drink a lot of caffeine like you as well. And if I have too much, like the next day, I feel like almost like a hangover, like type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, now that you mention that, that's how I used to feel when I used to drink coffee every day. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I needed the coffee in the morning, that I couldn't start my morning, because it's a hangover the
Yeah.
next morning. Like, one of the things that I learned about hangovers when you drink is, you wake up with a hangover and you drink the same thing you drank the night before, and you're going to feel better. That's one solution. Another solution is pickle juice. That's
Interesting.
how
Yeah.
Russians do it. Russians just chug pickle juice, right? They keep the pickle juice in the fridge.
I've heard of Pedialyte, like drink some Pedialyte
Yeah.
because all the electrolytes in it. Yeah.
Gatorade, Pedialyte, whether you make your own Gatorade, highly recommend making your own instead of the one from the store. A lot less sugar, and you can actually put honey instead of sugar. That's what I
Ooh.
do. So I make my own Gatorade, and it's really simple. You just need lemon. I use pink salt, um, and um, and honey and
Okay.
water.
Oh, interesting. All
So that's
right.
pretty
Well,
much what I put in there. And sometimes I'll add, maybe if I want to add a little bit of flavor, like cinnamon or anything like that, I do. But keeping in mind that cinnamon itself, it kind of floats, and you got to be okay with drinking it, but it does add a little bit of flavor, but don't put too much.
right.
Right? Cayenne pepper can be added in there as well, but
Oh, we get some sound effects. But thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. I honestly didn't realize you can make your own Gatorade.
yeah,
I learned something new today.
I'm
That's
gonna
amazing.
turn the alarm off and be safe.
Oh, is it alarm? I thought it was one of the kids coming in. Oh man. But yeah, so as we're talking about all these things with like caffeine, like it's like bringing that awareness to it. Like, how does caffeine make you feel like the next day, in an hour, at the end of the day? Are you reaching for more? Like, if you're reaching for more, is there something else you can do instead? And something I will do if I'm like feeling like, oh, I need to get a little energy boost, is I'll dance. Or what you taught me, doing
Apple.
this.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Or singing even helps me, or jumping, do the quick jumping jacks, to breath of fire for yoga stuff. Like there's a lot of other options that you can choose to naturally boost that energy. But if you're on a lifestyle where you're drinking coffee every day or caffeine every day, it is going to be harder to get used to cutting it out if that's what you're trying to do. So if you do, slow and steady, take it a little bit at a time. And that's how anything is, I feel like, too, even with like going with your awareness, slow and steady. And like you said, Yana, no judgment, like don't judge it. It's just there for you to observe.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, change it. Because that's, we can change anything we want. That's what's so cool about us being human. We have that superpower.
As you're talking about taking at your own pace and, and slow down, I'm gonna, I pay attention to synchronicities. And the more you pay attention to them, the more you notice them, because the universe is always talking to you. So you need to learn to zip it and listen. So this morning, as I'm walking down the stairs with my cacao, and it's like when it's just hot in here, the cup itself gets really hot, so I can't hold it. So I'm holding it with a magazine. So I took a magazine, I opened the magazine, I folded it in half, and I'm holding it like this, and I'm walking around the corner, and I'm like, why am I walking so slow? Maybe I need to speed up and move through life faster. These were my thoughts, right? And I'm walking faster with this cacao in my hand, and I have other things that I'm carrying, and I'm holding it to my chest, right? So I'm like this. And then as I walk really quickly, the cacao spills. And instantly I hear, no, you are not supposed to be rushing into everything. Take it at your own pace. And that's when I'm like, oh, fuck me. Really? Okay, fine.
Yeah,
the universe talks. We just need to be aware of it talking to us and hearing what it's saying. And the way that it communicates with us is through our subconscious mind, which is intuition. It is those thoughts that sometimes might feel like, no, that's not it. Or, oh, yeah, that's it. Or this is an interesting thought. You got to observe them. Go watch the video that we're talking about intuition, and that should help you to understand your intuition a little bit more and start practicing it and strengthening it to a point where you can be aware of your cacao spilling and saying, okay, instant like response. Nope, no, you're not supposed to rush. Just take it as you go, take it one step at a time, take it as it comes. And the initial thought of trying to rush through it, it has to do with everything, right? We all want to get to the next thing now. Like we already want to be there. We want to wake up with the body that we want without having to do the work. We want to have the flourishing business without having to go through all the unbearing of yourself, because that's kind of like how I feel it is to build a business. Your business is a seed that is planted in the ground, right? And you gotta get to it, and you gotta feed it and you gotta nourish it, which means that you gotta bring it up, right? So in that process, it can be depending on how big the seed is, right? Depending on what you're trying to build, what you're trying to do, and that's the process that cannot be rushed. And whatever it is that you are trying to rush, and you know what it is. We all know what it is. We all know what it is that we're trying to rush, and it's like, no, maybe I should listen to your intuition, and better yet, maybe sit with it and see and try to understand why it's trying to tell you not to rush, and what you can do with that information, right? Because there's always those next steps that come through our awareness when we take the time to sit still, when we take the time to pause, to breathe, to listen. And as much as most of us want to avoid being uncomfortable, we gotta learn to be comfortable feeling uncomfortable, and to go for that feeling, because We did that as children. I mean, I did that as a child. I can't speak for everyone, but I know I did that as a child. I know there's different types of kids, but for me, I wanted to explore everything. If I had a new idea, I needed to go check it out. I want to, I found out that there was this lake that I wasn't supposed to go to because my parents told me, you can't go swimming there. I'm like, oh, I didn't know there was a lake there. Let me go check it out. Thanks. Right? But that is all for today. As we're wrapping up and getting close to the end of our podcast, do you have a poem for us today, Bethany?
I do. And I wrote it yesterday. When I respond to my inward and outward awareness, then balance and patience comes with more ease and grace. Practice always makes progress and growth.
Exactly what we were just talking about, especially in the wrap up. You gotta go at your own pace. Oh, here's a really, really big takeaway, hopefully for everyone. I know it definitely was for me. For many, hopefully, and most likely it will be a reminder. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself. That's it. Look back, think back of where you were 5, 10 years ago, even a month ago, and remind yourself where you are now. A perfect example that I know Bethany and I would both do is when with anger, the one that you used. How would you have responded to that before, and how did you respond to it now? Right? Using that as an example. With me being the victim, right? Anger wasn't something that I used very often, but when I used it, oh my God, would it ever drain me? And getting out of there, it's like I didn't get angry very often, but when I would get angry, I could stay angry. But I also, like, depending on what it was, I've learned to stay angry for a long time, but I used to just get angry and it would be really short. And now I'm going back to the way I used to be, staying angry for a short period of time, and even better, working through it and understanding the lesson, right? So where was I in the wrap up? So we're talking about see, being conscious of our choices, being conscious of where we're at, and choosing, and being clear. When I say conscious, I mean awareness as well, right? So for me, those two words kind of go hand in hand. But anyways, so that's where we were at. You got to decide of what you want to, who you want to be, and only compare yourself to yourself, and using those experiences from the past that you are continuing to experience. Because feeling like a victim, we all go through that, and it's never going to go away. Feeling anger, the same thing. All the feelings and emotions that we have, I want you to see how they have developed and progressed over the years, especially as you continue to do the work on yourself. And when it comes to building your business, the same thing. You can't even compare your business to anybody else's. You can't. You can try, and you can find similarities in there, but it's going to be entirely different because you're different. I'm different. Even if Bethany and I are building exactly the same business, it's going to come out different. And different people will resonate with our business, right? Yeah. It's just like that, right? Because we speak one way, and there's certain people that get attracted to the way that I speak, and certain people get attracted to the way that you speak. And there's people who will be repelled by one or the other or both. Right?
It's not the way it's supposed to be in life. Like, there are people that are gonna, like you're saying, that are going to really really take everything we say to heart, and there's people that are gonna be like, not for me. And that's okay, because I don't need to meet everyone. I don't need this to go to everyone. I just wanted to go to the people that are needing some help, needing some healing and some growth and expansion, and to help you get out of that catabolic side so you can hit that anabolic, that feel great, that positive side. And, you know, when the negative hits, you have your tools and medicines to get back to where you want to be as well.
Exactly. And just using them.
No.
Right? Remembering to use them. And then when you do remember me, you become conscious that this is the time to use my tools to actually take the action and not say to yourself, oh, it's okay. It's okay. My anxiety is going to go away really soon. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to feel better really soon. I know I got triggered, but that's okay. It's going to go away. Right? It always does. But yes, it might go away, but there's a reason why most people end up reaching for something else to numb themselves so these things don't come back up, because they do. Just because we put it away now doesn't mean it's just going to go away. It's going to be there until it's dealt with. And it just collects and collects and collects over our lifetime. And for some people, it leads them into a breakdown, or a breakthrough, right? Not everybody goes through a breakdown. Many people just go through a breakthrough, and they don't go through the heaviness, the darkness, the sadness, the depression, the brokenness, right? And I want to say they're so unlucky to have not gone through it, because it is a gift to go through it. And I know some people might not feel like it is a gift. I totally get that, because I didn't for a long time. Even though my intuition kept telling me it is a gift, I didn't believe it was. But I needed time. We all need time, right? It's in a way kind of like a grieving process as well. It's just not going to go away right away. It needs time. Everything needs time. That's it. So that is all for today. Thank you, Bethany, and thank you everybody for listening. Lots of love, lots of hearts.
Lots of love, and I'm so grateful. I love our Wednesday calls. They're always so empowering and expanding and growing. And oh, I appreciate you, and I just appreciate our time together, uninterrupted time together.
Right? It's nice. And mine got a little bit interrupted because my son was the one that went to play with the safe, and he's like, oh shit, the alarm went off, and I'm like, oh my God. Now people are gonna know I have a safe in my office. You know what I mean? That's where the mind goes as well. We all have these judgmental thoughts of ourselves. So thank you, everybody. I really am looking forward to meeting all of our viewers and listeners. And please join our community in the Facebook group. It is a free group. The link is going to be down below. It's called Empathy Unicorn Academy. Follow us on our socials, your favorite platforms. Make sure that you subscribe on the YouTube channel, and most importantly, share this message, share this video with at least one person that you know can benefit from this information, because we all have someone in our life that can benefit from this information. Even if it's just a little part of the video, you can, this is what I do as well. It's like, hey, Angela, there's this awesome video. Can you just watch from 11 minutes in until 18 minutes? Like, that's the best part. Everything else is kind of like fluff, but this is the best part. Or maybe you know that someone is struggling with something and there's something in this video. Cut out those types for them and tell them the timestamp. This is where it starts. And I mean, you don't have to give them the end. They can just watch through the end if they want to, or just send them the video. But all I'm saying is please share this information, because it is so valuable. I know this is not like the professional videos that many people do out there that have a lot of money to spend, but the information is, I don't know, I've said this before, but the information is very valuable, and it not only has helped us, it has helped many people that we have worked with and have shared this information with. And I know some
Yeah.
people just like to watch in the background quietly, and that's okay. Without because we also do the live in the group. And that's okay. If you're one of those people that watches quietly and just gets the information, do that. But please actually take the action on this information. Don't just sit with it. Don't become one of those people that hoards the information, does nothing with it. Because if it's something really good and you felt that it was good and you just put it away and file it, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. Just because we become aware of something, the awareness itself is not the action. Awareness is just a realization. It's the, okay, I get it, right? Or it makes sense. You got to do something with that awareness. Take the action, because awareness usually leads to an action step. So identify what that next action step is, and then take the first step. And then the second, the third, the fourth, and so on, if you choose to. If not, move on to the next awareness. But other than that, thank you, Bethany. This was really nice, and I really enjoyed seeing your shop.
Yeah. I'll show you.
Yeah.
It's nice. You've heard about it so much, and it's like, oh, look, I get to show you today. And who knows, maybe next week I'll be here as well. A different setup. You never know. Might surprise everyone and change my background a lot more than I have in the past, but even more.
Well, like if I had an office too, I mean, I have an office here, but if I had an office outside of the house where I can leave everyone behind and have my legs free, it would be great as well. But he's always here. He's constantly here.
He's
And
he's mascot.
yeah. Definitely a mascot, and he's not going anywhere. He's like, no, he's not going anywhere.
Now? All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all the viewers, everyone that's here, everyone in the group. Come say hi to us. Let us get to know everyone. We would love to get to know everyone, and put more personality to the faces and the names that we see, to build that connection with everyone here.
Yeah, exactly.
Build a connection, guys.
We're here trying to build a tribe or a community, whatever you want to refer to it, of like-minded women. So if you are like-minded, as you can hear the minds of ours, that's where you need to be, right? Other than that, until next Wednesday, we will see you live in the Facebook group at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, or it'll be on YouTube recorded a little bit later.
Yep, or I'll share it.
So, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bethany. Bye.